welcome back to the Citizen channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. And one of our little regular features, there's been 2 or 3 of these as I'm doing this one. Yes, it's the boys of 11-12, where we look back at, the guys who were involved, of course, in our momentous 93-20 moment season, 2011-12, when we claimed the title for the first time in a hell of a long time. But we're going to look back at today. We're going to look back at Kolo Toure. Yes, I've doing my little script. The amount of times I wrote is unbelievable. Total disrespect for Kolo. My apologies, mate. But yes, we're going to look at Kolo Toure today in the boys of 11-12. Please, if you're on YouTube channel, push that subscribe button, push the bell notifications, tell your friends. If you're already subscribed, please keep on passing the word. Your support is always much appreciated. And please, if you like what you see, give us that thumbs up and give us that like to make an old City fan very, very happy. Kolo Habib Toure. Yes, there's a good... I like Habib. I think that's a great name. Born 19th of March 1981 in Bouaké in the Ivory Coast, of course. A big Ivory Coast international. We'll talk about the African Nations Cup, but he disappeared, obviously, from our ranks, as did his brother. He was a member of the 03-04, of course, Arsenal Invincibles. They weren't that... They were invincible, but they weren't that good. I mean, they drew a lot of games, didn't they? I mean, Marc Hughes got sacked for drawing games, didn't he? On April the 13th, 2009, he had a bit of a strop. He demanded a move away because he'd fallen out with... Apparently, he'd had a bust-up with his defensive partner, a guy called Gallus. At Arsenal, however, they sort of changed his mind. He said he would at least stay to the summer, so he sort of stopped his strop. And he stayed till the summer. He did as his words said. He stayed till the summer. But there was a little bit of transfer speculation. Of course, City, obviously, we're looking. Obviously, with the investment now from Abu Dhabi, we're looking to sort of challenge, weren't they? So obviously, there was transfer speculation that he would come to City. And it was announced on the 28th of July 2009. City had agreed a fee of $14 million for Toure, and he signed a 4-year contract with an option of extending that to 5. We'd finished 10th the previous season, of course, made a number of high-profile signings in preparation for this 2009-10 season, and Toure, of course, was one of those to hopefully make City a top 4 team. In fact, Hughes, the manager at the time, was told more or less that was the aim. We wanted 70 points, and we wanted a top 4 finish, and that's what he was told. Obviously, did he take notice? He tried. He tried to take notice. He was quickly appointed club captain by Marc Hughes, because he got rid of old Dunny, and he sold Richard Dunn off, of course, within a couple of games to start the season. So, he had the honour of being made captain. He would make his debut at Ewood Park in the first game of the season. Just under 30,000 there, of which 7,500 City fans were in attendance. I didn't get to that one, but we were at that one, the 7,500 City fans. So that's where he made his debut. And he scored his first goal in a header for City in a 2-1 League Cup win over Fulham on the 23rd of September 2009. This was actually the first ever. All right, we hadn't been at Eastlands or the City of Manchester Stadium, whatever it was called at the time. We hadn't been there that long. But that was the first time a game had ever gone into extra time at Eastlands, and he actually scored the winner in the 111th minute from a Petrov corner. Remember Petrov? Scored his first league goal for City against Burnley on the 7th of November 2009. And with City stuttering and drawing far too many games, as I mentioned before, a change was made, wasn't it? A change was made at the top. Didn't just disrupt things too much as far as Kolo was concerned. But of course, Mancini came in to replace Marc Hughes. Although we'd soon find out that Mancini didn't fancy him as the captain, though. But obviously that would change later on. So his 9-10 season 2009-10 stats read, played 35. That would be the most he played at City in his time there. He made no sub-appearances. We won 19 of those 35 games, and he scored 2 goals. On 2nd of July 2010, of course, we got the old Kolo Toure, Toure combination, didn't we? Because he joined brother joined him for the 10-11 season. And at the beginning of the season, as I said, Mancini mustn't have fancied him as captain because he took the captain's armband from Toure and gave it to a certain Carlos Tevez, of course, who joined the club. Despite this, he obviously remained part of Mancini's plans for the defence. He helped City keep a top 4 place from mid-September, but it wasn't without its problems. He was in the programme saying about they'd have to tighten up in defence, but I mean, they've been doing very, very well. But in a 1-1 draw with Blackburn at home on the 11th of September, it was a mix-up between himself and Joe Hart that led to Blackburn's goal. But I thought generally in defence were doing okay, but obviously due to that error, he was sort of saying that they had to tighten up a little bit. Of course, music to Mancini's ears, probably. He was sent off in City's 2-1 defeat to Everton on the 20th of December 2010, and this will be his one and only red card in his City career. So that's not too bad for a defender, is it? Certainly combative defender, wasn't over the top, but he sort of didn't mind getting in there, did he? On the 15th of January 2011, Kolo scored his third, and it would be his last ever City goal of his career in a 4-3 win over Wolves, which sent us temporarily to the top of the league. We didn't stay there for too long, but things were going to get worse. This is 2011 now, don't forget. And on the 3rd of March 2011, it was revealed that Kolo had failed a drug test. I think the drug test came after an Old Trafford match, and I don't even think he played. I think he was an unused sub in it, but he'd failed. He was told before an Aston Villa game that it had been failed and immediately suspended. The World Anti-Doping Agency imposed a 6-month suspension from football effective from the 2nd of March 2011. So that was it. That was his football finished. He'd actually taken apparently a dietary pill of his wife's just to try and shed a few grams, he said at the time. He said it was an honest mistake. The agency decided that obviously what he'd done wouldn't have in any way enhanced his abilities as an elite athlete anyway, and he got the 6 months ban. But let's face it, at best, Kolo had been very, very stupid. You just ask the doctor. If you're going to do something like that, just ask the club doctor. He's only a phone call away or whatever. But a silly thing to do. And he paid for his mistake, of course. In a Q&A in the old Manc magazine, remember the Manc magazine from October 2011, he was asked if during his ban, did he play any FIFA? I think that's a computer game, isn't it? He didn't. He said he played Pro Evolution. He had to play on his own, apparently. His daughter was far too young, but he had no mates to play with. I didn't know the ban account meant he couldn't have any mates as well at the time, but he liked Pro Evolution. And he couldn't train with City. He couldn't actually do that, but he did keep himself fit. Obviously, City sorted out facilities where he could train. And actually, when he did come back to City without any sort of enhancement, he was probably fitter and far fitter than he was when he actually got suspended in the first place. But say he couldn't actually train or be involved with City on the training pitch at all. But of course, that would mean City was had to battle on without him in our FA Cup run, of course, and Toure would miss the key FA Cup triumph against United and also against Stoke City in the final. He did join in with the on-pitch celebrations, dressed in his, I think he had a jacket and a jumper on, but it was all rather low-key, and obviously he was sort of joining his brother and celebrating with his brother. And similarly in the homecoming back in Manchester, he wasn't overly thrust to the front, obviously, because of the circumstances. But he was there, but he obviously said it was quite low-key for Kolo, which is fair enough, absolutely, with what had happened. So we're going to go over to the King of the Kippax, August 2011, issue 189. John Burfield, his class of 2011, just to see the thoughts on Kolo Toure. Very short and sweet. He says, alternates between the very good and the very poor. Yeah, okay. And not consistent enough to merit a place at the expense of either Company or Lescott. Will unquestionably remain at the club, though, as his little brother's presence depends on it. Well, yeah, I mean, some people said, obviously, part of Yaya coming to us, the fact Kolo was there as well, which you can't discount that totally. It's probably true, but so Mr. Burfield there, quite short shrift there on Kolo, but it'd been one of those seasons, really, hadn't it, with this drug thing as well. His stats for that season, 2010-11, he played 28, plus one appearance as substitute, scored just the one goal, and we'd managed 14 wins out of those 28 games. Mancini, of course, I didn't have much option. Obviously, after the suspension, obviously Kolo wouldn't be back till at least mid-September, so Mancini had to sort of strengthen with Kolo ban. So that obviously would limit his going forward his chance of playing as well. And as a result of this, he was used more as a squad player during the famous, very famous 2011-12 season, of course, where he would start fewer games than previously. Lescott and company were, of course, the go-to centre-halves. And Boyata was around. He'd been loaned out. He'd been playing and been loaned out. But we also had Micah Richards standing in his way. So Kolo soon found himself a bit on the periphery. He could only sit and watch as an unused sub in, of course, the demolition at Old Trafford, the 6-1, the very famous 6-1 victory at Old Trafford. But at least he was getting a run in the Carling Cup. He got 3 starts. He started in the third round, a 2-0 win against Birmingham at Eastlands, a round 4, a 5-2 win away at Wolves, and, of course, back to his old haunt where he got a good welcome. Probably not. Quarter-final, a 1-0 win away at Arsenal, of course. And his only other start before December had been Bayern Munich away in the Champions League in a 2-0 loss. But an injury to Kolarov would see him at least start 3 games. Obviously, he could play right back as well. So Mancini switched it about a bit and he managed 3 games in December, 5-1 home win against Norwich, a 1-0 league win against Arsenal again, and a 0-0 away draw at the Hawthorns against West Bromwich Albion. But his start in the 3-0 home win against Liverpool on 3rd of January would be his last until March. And this has also included the fact that he and his brother, of course, were on African Nations Cup duty. So it'd been a bit of he wasn't getting the team anyway, and now he had to swan off over for the African Nations Cup for about 5 weeks or so, depending on how far they got in the competition. And, of course, City would go out in the Carling Cup in this 2-legged semi-final to Liverpool. I mean, I went to both those in the game at Anfield. We definitely missed Yaya, and we'd probably say you could have missed Kolo's influence as well in that. Both Toures were out of that, so we went out of the Carling Cup as well after he'd played in all the games up to then. Of course, both brothers were returning mid-February, but Kolo had to wait a little bit longer. Yaya went straight back into the team, but Kolo had to wait to the 3rd of March before he saw action again, replacing an injured Zabaleta in a 2-0 home win against Bolton Wanderers. As we went out of the Champions League in the round of 16 on the away goals rule, that was a little bit annoying. Of course, we lost 1-0 away, but we won 3-2 at home. But obviously, we lost on the away goals against Sporting, and he featured in both those games. And he was that was part of a 6-game run. Yeah, he started 6 games in March. But City reached the crux of the season, don't forget, 11-12. City reached the last 6 games. We were 8 points adrift of United. And sadly, his only appearance in those last 6 games was an 86-minute substitute in a vital 2-0 win at Wolves, but more to break the game up, of course, 2-0 up at Wolves, which, of course, set up that title-defining derby at the Etihad. Other than that, he was sat in the stands watching. He wasn't even an unused substitute. He just wasn't involved at all. Of course, we went on to win the league title for the first time in 44 years. Though not key, he was there when he was needed. Of course he was, and knuckled down after that drug incident. And the African nations took him away again at a key time, which was not his fault particularly. We know the rules, and that's all there is to it. It has to be said that aligned to his drug and his suspension, did take Kolo, I think, out of Mancini's thoughts as a key player for that season. He'd very much become on the periphery and a squad player. So let's go back over to the King of the Kippax, issue 198, the August 2012 Champions Special. Tom Parrish in his boldly written ramblings. Yes, not me, that's Tom Parrish, that. Said about Kolo, still can't jump and hasn't played too often. I'm astounded he's still here, given his drugs ban and that he's surely still a valuable, entirely saleable asset, but I suppose he's also a fairly useful squad player. He is. A bird in the hand and all that, but I'd expect him to move on this summer, as long as we're not currently paying him so much money that nobody else can afford him. Yeah, I think he's probably not, he's sort of hit the nail on the head with that comment. I mean, his 11-12 stats, he just started 14 games with 6. He came on as +6 as a substitute. But of those 14 games, we won 12, so we didn't do too bad on that score. In 2012-13, would Kolo be able to push himself forward as a more, get more games, be vital again, or would he just be another stop-start squad player as he was with the 11-12 season? I mean, this was his final year of his contract, of course. He signed a 4-year contract, and it's thought City may try to cash in, but as the gentleman said there, Mr. Parrish said there, I think wages was probably a stumbling block of him going elsewhere. So obviously, I think we're glad to keep him as a squad player. We know now about how important people like Aki are and people Zinchenko as squad players, key players when we need them. And I think this was the case at the time with Kolo as well, an experienced player you could just bring in. But he always knuckled down, always got on with things. With Company and Lescott still dominated the centre-half slots, Kolo would find it a little bit harder, though, because obviously Rodwell came in and also Nastasic came in, who obviously were ahead of him in the pecking order. So he did well to get any games at all this season, but defensively we were leaking goals a little bit through the first couple of months of the seasons. As the champions, we got off to a bit of a sluggish start in defence of our crown, and Kolo only managed 2 starts, and one was a League Cup match. The one bright spot over the last few months has been, of course, at the end of the season before this, and of course this season was the Ya Ya Kolo song, of which both he and his brother enjoyed, of course. And in an interview in November, he commented on his sporadic starts, as well as saying he loved the songs, and he was asked about obviously playing. He said, "For the last 2 seasons, it's not been easy because I haven't been a regular in the team, but I try to give my best whenever I'm called upon, and I'll always give 100% for the team." He went on, "The most important thing is Manchester City, and I will always be ready to do my job and help the club continue to be successful." His longest run came in March again, as it had the previous season, with an injury to Company. He got a 5-start run. Once Company returned, he was back on the bench, of course. Kolo also started 2 games before and after the FA Cup final defeat to Wigan, but he didn't actually feature or even make the bench for that debacle at Wembley against Wigan Athletic. His last game for City that season was a 2-0 win at Reading on the 14th of May. So, some interesting stats for that season. Toure had some interesting stats. 12-13, played 13, only played 13, started 5 as sub, but won 12 of those. And if you look at, there's a further breakdown I've got hold of as well. 917 minutes played, 60% ground duels won, 40% aerial duels won, 74% tackles won, defensive errors 0, and dribble pass just the 1. So it's not bad, but I would say that's based on starting 13 games and 5 as sub. So back to John Burfield for the class of 12-13 in King of the Kippax issue 207, August 2013. He says about Kolo, a decent season for Kolo, who filled in well wherever required, both at centre-half and right-back, and his departure totally ruins one of our best songs. It didn't. Not sure whether we wouldn't have been better off keeping him as experienced cover, given the frequency with which our captain likes to suddenly sit down in the middle of the pitch, clutching his calf, and then take 4 weeks off. Too late now, eh? Yes, he was gone. Yeah, so the clue was in that brief summary there. He was out of contract, and within 2 weeks, on the 28th of May 2013, Liverpool announced that an agreement had been reached verbally in principle to sign Toure on a free transfer. And on the 2nd of July, he was unveiled as Liverpool's first signing of the new 13-14 season. Sadly, like his last 2 seasons at City, Kolo did the sort of squad player at Liverpool as well. He never really got a regular spot, and he became a bit of a bit part player. And yes, for us, he had become a bit part player the last couple of seasons. But in the case now, as I said, reliable squad players like Kolo were something that we would take for granted now. And at the time, I think we did take him for granted. But I don't think most fans. I think most fans were happy with it. We knew what he was. I think he knew what he was, what he could do, and what he couldn't do. And I don't think he ever let us down. We thank him, of course, for being part, all right, not to the forefront of our 11-12 squad, if you like, as far as playing games concerned, but a very, very important little part of it anyway. And of course, being part of one of our most popular songs, which is still sung out as I'm recording this in June 2022, still sung out at the games loud and proud to this very day. It was even picked up around the world by different people who don't have nothing to do with Manchester City. So hey, that's not too bad. There's not many songs like that, is there, that we make up. But let me know, guys. That was his time. As I said, it started off pretty well. went down a little bit. He had his problems, of course he did, but he always put it in, I think, for us. I don't think many City fans had too much bad to say about it. Let me know what your thoughts are, anyway, your personal memories, any thoughts on Kolo. It'd be great to hear. If you've met the guy, if you spoke to the guy, which I've never done myself, but he just seemed a decent bloke from I know. Let me know what you think, anyway. But there you go. We hope you enjoyed that little look at the boys of 11-12 and this little edition, Kolo Toure, of course, who was one of our boys of 11-12. Thanks for watching. We're going to do the rest of the day. Please have a great one. Look after yourselves and you look after your families. Till we meet again, all I'm going to say to you is, come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.